I can start, no problem. Yeah, thank you for invitation, and thank you for giving me the chance to discuss and talk about this very interesting topic. We from CVC believe we have something interesting for you guys out there. So just let me start directly into the presentation. Just as always, a few slides about CVC and so on. So CVC is a Japanese-based family-owned company founded in 1925. Last year or this year, most likely we will do 1.6 billion US dollars. So we have 97 years of experience in multiple divisions. And one division, what is the industrial optics division? We have 40 years of catalyzing optics. What we mean by this is we not just sell optics, no, we develop them from the optic design up to electronic engineering if this is needed. Beside this, we have the production, the entire value chain, and of course the selling. Our sales office, for example, in Europe, we have several over the place, like in Düsseldorf or UK and so on. As I said, we develop our lenses, and therefore we are very happy that our latest releases have won multiple awards. The first one is actually the one which I will discuss in this talk. It's a ViSWIR Hyper-APO series. It has won 2 awards already. One gold award at the Innovators Award, what is an American magazine, and the Inspect Award, which was handed over during this year's Vision show. Then we have a Lens Connect technology, where you can remotely control lenses, which has a silver award, and a 45 megapixel 1.4-inch ultra high resolution, what also could win a silver award. When we talk about hyperspectral imaging, what you guys do, and you know it much better than I do, you always have the need of combining multiple wavelengths in multiple shots, or in best case in one shot. Yeah, that would be ideal. You can of course handle this by multiple camera solutions, or but I think as time progresses, and when I saw the agenda for today, there are now several solutions to bring this all into already a smaller, condensed solution, where you have all the needs which you have combined in one solution, and a very small and potentially also much cheaper solution. And one thing to add here is the lens, and we can now offer you a Hyper-APO series, how we call it. This is designed to perform best with the new Sony sensors, IMX 990 and 991. Those sensors, and also therefore the lenses, have an image size of 2/3. We have 5 focal lengths from 8 to 50 millimeters, and as you may know, those sensors have a transmittance or a sensitivity from 400 to 1700 nanometers, and it would be awkward somehow if you would not use this. Using this means not just from a camera standpoint, also from light, and therefore also from the lens standpoint. And the Hyper-APO series is the first ever released lens series that connected to those sensors work perfectly together, because, and this is highlighted in red, it basically has no focus shift. And focus shift, as you guys know, is very crucial because when I make a focus clear picture from let's say 500 nanometers, it might be that 700, 1100 or whatever is not anymore in focus. And this is bad because you then would need to refocus. You lose time, you lose money basically, and we don't want to have this. So what does it need in a term of optical design to come up with such a lens? Optical design is, of course, one of our core competencies, so I will not give you a deep insight, but at least I want to give you a feeling on how difficult it had been to develop such a lens. And to start with this, some very simple and basic information that you all know, I know, but it's important as a starting point. So we have light. Yeah, and it's starting somewhere on the left with UV light, and it goes by far to LVIR light, and you have different materials which you can use to work with this light. And luckily, in visible range, we have this optical glasses, which you know from standard lenses, and it's a well-known fact that they do not shut down at 800 nanometers or something. No, most likely they go up to 2000, maybe even 3000 nanometers. So to have a cheap solution, because all the other materials which are named here are much more expensive than optical glass, it is a good starting point to use optical glass. From there, you have to consider all the properties that optical glass has. And this is a bad thing when you want to develop a chromatic or perfect having chromatic shift lens, is dispersion. And you know this picture all. I think you have white light entering a different material and then spreading out to all these fantastic wave bands. But in optical design, you basically don't want to have this. Yeah. So what is the optical designer doing? Basically, what he's doing, he takes a lens, and the property of the dispersion leads now, when the light enters the lens, to one very nice focus point, but the dispersion effect gives you, depending on how many wavelengths you use, multiple points. Yeah. To correct this, you add more and more lenses to your system. For example, a doublet, what is just 2 lenses combined, can work perfectly or can correct perfectly 2 wavelengths, but just 2, not more. Maybe the area around those 2 wavelengths can be in the area of confusion or something like that, but basically in principle just 2 wavelengths. So the optical designer starts to add more and more lenses, which means also adding costs, because all the lenses need to be polished and so on. So it is his experience and something else, the broad range of optical materials which are available. And here I just display the current optical glass catalog of O'Hara, which is one of the largest glass manufacturers. They just have 134 different glass types. And now if I think about just doing some math, if I have 2 lenses like I did in the doublet, yeah, I already end up in 18,000 ways to combine those 130 optical glasses. A standard lens right now that you can offer from buy from shelf somewhere from us or our competitors, doesn't matter, normally has something between 8 to 12 lenses, depending on the quality, depending on the resolution it needs, and so on and so on. So if I take just 10 lenses, I'm ending at 1 sextillion ways of combinations. This is too much for any current existing computer, yeah, and of course any brain of any optical designers. So there's something else coming into place, and this is experience, what I already mentioned. Good engineering normally starts not at a scratch; it starts somewhere that you know. Yeah, you take something what is available, what you are familiar with, and you start from there and try to tweak it and improve it. This is sorry. I was one slide ahead, sorry. This is also very important because the dispersion reacts in the visible range much worse than in the SWIR range. This means to develop a lens which would just work in the SWIR range is quite easy, in the visible range, it is very hard to have a very good chromatic shift designed. And combining those two ranges is very difficult. Yeah. So, and now I'm at the slide which I already thought I would be. And so what we did is we take our experience, we take the glass catalog, and we took some lenses which we already have or experienced by designing those lenses. So we have lenses for security, but also we have lenses for traffic. And there are, like we all know, increasing demands like faster f-stops. Our fastest lens, which we have right now, has 0.9, which is incredible. The sensor sensitivity is increasing. This means the pixels are getting smaller, and the higher resolution, therefore, is also demanding in terms of optical design. And a big step was already, especially for traffic applications, to have a focus shift very well designed up to 940. So we already went into this SWIR range, yeah, but we needed to find ways to get even to the 1700 nanometers. Yeah, what the optical designer now really did, this is unfortunately our core competency. So you will not see now the optical design with all the glasses and so on and so on. Sorry for that. Nevertheless, this is how we processed the development. When we heard about this sensor and started our development, we took our experience from existing lenses and tweaked everything out of it and came up with something what is, I think, very unique. And when you look at a standard lens right now, which is on the market, but is working only in the visible range, then the chromatic shift will look maybe something like that. And this is something you don't want to see in a hyperspectral system, where you want to use from 400 to 1700 nanometers. The reason is because the focus is basically just around here. It is depending on the pixel size and so on. It will be just somewhere around 15 microns. Yeah, so you need something much better. Let's have a look on typical SWIR lenses that you also need, and they have not the same similar, but they have the same problem at least. Yeah, even the slope is looking much different, but they have the same problem. And then maybe you have seen that there are also other lenses who claim to work very good with those new sensors, but they have a slope working like this. And here you see, at least you could basically have a few points or wavelengths focused in one shot, but not the entire range. And as I already said, so the pixel size of the new sensors is 5 microns. So the circle of confusion is somewhere around 10 microns. And this is indicated by this yellow bar over here. And the Hyper-APO series now has this chromatic shift. And you can see the entire chromatic shift does not exceed 5 microns. From 400 to 1700. Any wavelengths at one shot which you need, which you take, will be in focus, clear in shape. Here are some example pictures made. We also have those with beans, with sugar, with all those stuff, and it's amazing. Yeah, you just need one shot. So basically, this answers at least some questions in terms of how to get the light to the lens, to the camera. The Hyper-APO series could answer this. And my summary already. So having 5 microns chromatic shift lenses is now not a dream. It's reality with the Hyper-APO series of CBC. Therefore, one could think about reducing the amount of lenses and the amount of cameras in your system, for sure. Increase, of course, therefore also maybe the performance of your system. Hopefully reduce the costs, and this is something right now the lens itself costs quite much. I have no problems in saying that. But the reason for that is that we, in the first step, just produced a low 2 digits quantity per focal length. So I believe that this will be a thing that impacts the market, the industry heavily. The sensors, the new sensors, if it's Sony's, whether it's something else from someone else, with those lenses I'm talking about, and therefore with higher quantities, the costs of those lenses will drop significantly down. So I just can ask you to start trying those lenses, and in best case order them, because the target is to reduce for us all over the place the costs. And yeah, we have basically 2 series. The first one I discussed, the Hyper-APO series. We also offer the light version, which we just recommend for application where you at one shot only need one wavelength, for which reason ever. But therefore it is also much more cost effective. Applications, you know much better in which application you need what, and nevertheless, what we just say, the Hyper-APO series you can basically use in any application. It will work perfectly. On the other hand, the light one is just for monoband, as I already said. The light is already available also in mass production. The Hyper-APO series is available from 8 to 25 millimeters in small quantities. As I said, the 35 and 50 are currently still under development, but will be released in the next months. Yeah, that's all from me. I'm up for questions if there are any, but I see already some F&A questions highlighted.